the team that is kind of responsible for all the additive stuff within Fusion.
So, that's cool. Brilliant, yeah. So again, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Richard Stubley. I'm one of the process specialists based out of our technology centre in Birmingham. I'll be just doing the chat today. I'm passing over the presenting job to Tom. So yeah, so Tom's going to be doing all the hard work. So yeah, so please everyone join in on the chat. Please let us know if there's any problem with the audio or the video. But yeah, so that's hopefully what's going on. We want to know where you're from. We want to find out who's the furthest away. So we're both pretty central to Birmingham, UK, and also who's the closest to us. So let us know where you're from. So yeah, anyone been making anything interesting during the current climate we're all under? We had some quite interesting people on last week that have been making lots of different things. One guy was making a quarter, I think it was a quarter scale windmill. I think that's even quite big.
That's going to be pretty
yeah,
big.
That's still not a small effort. But yeah, we'll wait for wait a few minutes for people to join in, and then we'll get cracking.
Yeah, fantastic. My flatmate has some friends who've been making their own climbing wall in their back garden or so, but it's like a 2-3 meter wall, so they're doing a pretty good job on that.
Oh
so,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That's cool. That's nice. Are they 3D printing the climbing holds?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, with Fusion 360 they could.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I think they're buying them all in.
Oh no, that's a poor effort. So we've got Leamington Spa is probably the closest, and then New Zealand's definitely the furthest away at the moment.
Oh wow, New Zealand.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we've got quite a spread there.
Yeah, I wonder who's from Leamington Spa, because that's where I'm at the moment.
Are you actually in Leamington at the moment?
Yeah, it's probably someone I know, but I can't think who it is.
Well, the username's Yasmin Liverpool, so
okay.
Either it's Yasmin from Liverpool that's now in Leamington.
Yeah, I think I know the name.
Is Leamington that small of a place?
Well, I think I recognise the name from my days at uni.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, because a lot of the Warwick students live in Leamington.
Ah, cool. No worries. Okay, well that's the 3 minutes for everyone to join. So I hope everyone's in. Please use the chat throughout. It'll be brilliant to speak to you all virtually, although we can't do it physically. But yeah, so Tom, it's over to you really. Good luck, and I'll interrupt you timely if some decent questions come up. So please, everyone, use the chat as much as you can.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thanks for that, Richard. So yeah, here we go. Hopefully, you guys can all see my screen. So I want to take you through the Fusion FFF workflow today. And the part that I want to kind of take you through the workflow with is this soft jaw that can be printed. So what it is, it goes in some sort of clamp or vise, and it's used to hold bike frames by a bike shop if they want to loosen bolts or make edits to the bike frame. Obviously, what's great about printing jaws like this is you can print them quickly for a certain custom bike frame, or you can print them away to hold many different bike frames. But if you're having issues and you're worried that the jaws, the clamp itself might damage the bike frame, then you can print these and it would hold it in a much better state and also stop damage to the frame being done. So that's the part. Yeah, I guess I'll jump straight into it. So I'll hide the canvases now that you know what the part is. So to start the Fusion FFF workflow, we have to jump inside the manufacture workspace. So we can go up to design and click manufacture. And then we are now in the manufacture workspace. And the first step is always to create a setup. So we'll go to top left and create a setup. Now this is important because what we'll do in this setup is select a machine, and we'll be selecting our operation type, for example, whether it's milling or additive, for example. So we're going to select additive, and we'll go to our machine and click select. And you can see within the Fusion 360 library, we have a large range of machines. we're going to put the filter to additive, and the machine that we're going to use today is we're going to go and use this Ultimaker 2 extended. So what we can do a couple of things with this. We can actually drag it to our local library. So, and now we drag that, and if I go in, you can actually see the machine there. And you can see, compared to another machine that's in there, we've not got a post associated with that machine, and we've not got print settings associated with that machine yet. For those who are not familiar what post is, it's short for post processor, and it converts your on-screen toolpath into machine-readable code. So every machine needs a post for it, and its post is unique to each machine. So for this machine, we'll need to select post. So we can click on the little folder icon here, and it'll take us to this window, and from here we can look at the Fusion 360 post library. Again, we'll set the filter to additive, and we'll select the Ultimaker 2 FFF machine post. Fantastic. So you can see we've got our Ultimaker 2 machine there with the post selected. We can also select print settings in the same way. I'll click select on there. As you can see, it's imported the build volume into the workspace, and you see that it's selected the part, and it's automatically selected print settings. What we're going to do is going to reselect some print settings that I've created for this job today. So we'll click select, and it'll bring up the Fusion 360 print setting library. So what I'll actually do is I'll go into my local library, and I've created these settings here, Tom settings. And you can see there's, if we go into information, if we go back into the Fusion 360 library and select on one of these print settings, you can see that often they're sorted between material, filament diameter, nozzle diameter, and layer height. And you can click on one of these and you can see the information associated with that print setting. But anyway, we'll go back into our local and we'll select Tom settings, which is the one we want to use. Again, you can see the information for those settings here. And we can click select. Fantastic. So we've got our part, we've got our machine, we've got our post, we've got our print settings. We're now pretty much ready to click OK and finish with this setup. Note that we've got arrangement set to automatic and the body's already been selected. So when we click OK, it's going to move the body right to the center of the platform. Brilliant. And you can see that it's created setup in the left, in the tree here. So the next stage is to kind of look at this part and think what position, what orientation we're going to print it in. So we're going to go to the position ribbon, tab in the ribbon, and we're going to see some of the options we've got. So we can move the component, we can minimize the build height, we've got automatic orientation, which is what I'll show you, and we've also got place parts on platform. And we've also got collision detection when we have multiple parts on a platform. So I'm going to actually show you guys automatic orientation today. So there we go, it's opened a little dialog or window on the right here. And the first thing we need to do is select our orientation target. So that, of course, is our part. So I'll just click on our part. We can see the critical angle is set to 45 degrees. Of course, that is kind of standard for FFF technology. It says support bottom surface. Yeah. Distance to platform, of course, we'll set this to 0 because we want the part to be positioned right on the platform to ensure a good first layer adhesion to ensure a successful print. So smallest rotation, we'll leave it 45, and rotation axis arbitrary, that's fine. We then go to this ranking tab, and we can see we've got certain orientation parameters that we can set different priorities on. So if, for example, if we wanted to really, so this tool is going to generate a set of orientations for us. And if we wanted to set the part height as a top priority and reducing, we can tell it, okay, yeah, set this as very high. And so therefore the orientations it's going to suggest are naturally overall going to have lower part height.
So Tom, why would I want a low part height?
Yeah, good question. So for a lot of manufacturing processes, the part height is directly proportional to the overall build time. So, you know, with FFF, it's less so. But if you wanted to save on material costs and save on build time, then you'd want a low part height.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, good question. So yeah, we'll just leave all of those as medium and see what orientation results it generates for us. So I'm going to click OK. And you'll see on the left in the tree, it's created this automatic orientation folder, and we're going to right click on it. We can always edit the settings we just entered, but we're going to go to orientation results and see what it suggests, what orientation it suggests for us. So you can see the rank. So initial is where the position it's in at the moment, and we can go to any number of these. Let's go to number 10, for example, and it suggested a certain orientation. A lot of you will be looking at that and thinking, okay, that's probably not the ideal orientation, and you're probably right. So you can see you've got different, with the relative orientation settings, you've got some values, which is also very useful. But what it usually does is put the best or most favorable orientations at the top. So we'll just go to 6. Okay, that's looking a bit better. But if we go to 1, we can see actually that's probably the best orientation for this part. So yeah, I think we're happy with it. So we're going to click OK. Fantastic. So that's orientation done. Next, we want to make changes to the print settings. So what we can do is we can go to the next icon in the ribbon, which is the print setting editor. So we can click on that, and or we can we have the option to click on. I'll select some print settings within the setup. Give me 1 second for Fusion.
So we've got some interesting questions in already here. So some people are asking sort of what kind of printers. So I mean, we've just been saying to them that this is mainly for FFF, but what other types of 3D printers have we got? Because there's some other types, aren't there?
Yeah. So so at the moment, yeah, we're just working with FFF printers. There's a lot of there's metal powder bed machines within Fusion as well, and also there's talk of bringing another type of additive machine into Fusion. But yeah, I'm just going to pass on to Richard for a second.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Stop the share.
Yeah, cool. So just so everyone, Tom's having something he just needs to quickly sort out on that there.
Yeah.
So thanks for the questions, everyone. We're just quickly sorting out. Tom's just sorting out what he needs to do on his. So yes, there are quite a few different types of printers at the moment. All we are talking about supporting is FFF, so that's Fused Filament Fabrication. This is the ones that probably a lot of you are going to be used to. You're going to have a spool of filament, that's then going to get sort of fed through a set of rollers, pushed through a nozzle, and then that's going to actually start making your part. We have talked about some powder bed machines as well, so Fusion can cope with powder bed machines. This is much more of your commercial type machines. So that's going to be, really for your industrial machines that are making components out of the metal. So how do those actually work on with a powder bed? Is it a bed that's then laser sintered?
Yeah, exactly, or melted. So we have both in Fusion, and I've worked a bit with them myself and used Fusion to create and print parts with via Fusion. It's done a really good job. So anyway, I'll just bring you guys back to where we are. So apologies for that. I'll just reshare my screen.
No worries, Tom. It's the whole point of us doing these things live. Not everything goes perfect, but everyone on the call does appreciate that. We're trying to do this in time, live with what everyone else is seeing, rather than spending a month doing a polished video. We've had a couple of questions here about some other information. So I believe you've done a couple of other videos, haven't you? But we'll add those in the description after this. What other videos have you got on this?
So on YouTube, I've done a couple of videos. I've done just a brief overview on the workflow. I've also done one on the print settings, and there's one that's going to be added hopefully today, if not tomorrow, on actually creating a custom machine and a custom post, which is actually what I want to show you guys later as well.
Okay, brilliant. We'll get started on that then.
Yeah,
there were some questions about changing machines and changing posts, but we are going to cover that as we go on. There's a really cool add-in. Is it add-in or is it an app?
It's a great add-in that I'll show you guys. You can download. It was released about a week ago, and you can use it for creating your own post. But I can talk on that more later. But so we're back. Apologies for that. So let me just, it gives me an opportunity to show you another different type of orientation for the part. So
every cloud.
I showed you the automatic orientation tool. One that actually I use quite a lot of is this place parts on platform. So quite a few slicers have a similar tool. So what you can do is you can just select the part and select the platform clearance, or you actually have the option to select a particular face. So if I was looking at this part, I probably, and many of you as well, might not need an automatic orientation tool to suggest what orientation to use. So what we can do is we can just select a face. So actually having run the orientation tool and it suggested this orientation was best, I'd agree with it. So there we go, it's positioned the part. And now we can jump back in right where we were before. So obviously we've got our print setup here. We've got our print settings. We've selected our machine. So we can go to the print settings editor, and we can see that we've got a range of tabs, and under each tab we've got different print settings. So we've got a basic tab. This is kind of for people who may be new to FFF, and we kind of just put kind of print settings that we saw as key or ones that would be most useful for those people to use. So we put them into one tab. We've also got an extruders tab, a layer tab, an infill, and etc. So each of these have a range of different settings underneath that allow you to customize how you want your part to be printed. So we go to RAF, support. We can, obviously, of course, we're using a dual extrusion machine with the Ultimaker 2. We can select this support extruder ID for extruder 2. So we're telling it that we want to use extruder 2 as the support material, but for this case, we'll just use it as extruder 1. So you can see the range of settings. Is there anything that I'd want to change about this build? I think no. I think we'll keep it as that. So I'll click OK. I will enable support. So of course, we've got those holes for attachment to the device, and so when those holes are printed, I'll probably need a little bit of support. So I'll click OK. Fantastic. So you can see on the left in the tree, setup, print setting selected. We can hide our platform if we want, and now we can see that our additive toolpath is ready to be generated. It says there's no toolpath yet. So we can either generate it from the tree, or we can go up to actions and we click generate. So it shouldn't take too long, being a relatively simple part. So we've selected the machine, selected the post, selected the print settings, made edit to the print settings. We've chosen the orientation. We've made edits. We've made sure that we're using support for those holes. And now we're generating the toolpath, and we see that it's just finished it there. So brilliant, we've generated a toolpath. We can now go in and simulate it. So just give it a second for the simulation to open up. Fantastic. So here we go. You can see that it's the first layer, and what we can do is we can drag this little arrow and we can move up through the part and see the simulation, the toolpath simulation. You can see on the bottom left this orange square which shows the layer, and you've got the layer and the part height as well. So we can zoom in and we can see the toolpath. So you can see that the way that this has been color coded is the outer perimeter is red, the inner perimeters are green, and the infill is orange. And you can also notice that this is the support material, this is in blue. So we can move up through the part, and you can see actually that for these bolt holes, it's actually going to need to use quite a bit of support. And then you can see the top layer there. If we wanted to, we could just display the current layer and so zoom in on that, for example, and check everything's looking okay. And also we can also play by click animate layer only. We can play. I'm just going to slow it down. We can play through that layer. Okay, it's done it very quickly. But yeah, so let's play through that again a bit slower. There we go, fantastic. So if we want to see exactly how it's going to print that layer, we can do that via the simulation tool here. So fantastic. I think we're all happy with that. So we're going to click close. And wow, the next step is to post-process our toolpath. So again, we can go to actions and click post-process. So you can see that here post configuration is already selected our post. Of course, we selected that when we was doing the setup. We can go down to part name or number. So we're going to call this webinar print today, and we're going to just click post, and what we'll do is open the desktop or another folder, but we're going to save it to our desktop and just click save. Brilliant. Okay, so assuming we go and we go, and in fact I'll open it for you guys.
So just while that's opening, Tom, an interesting one that I've never heard of before. Someone's asked about a Delta Wasp machine with a clay extruder. Have you ever heard of one of those before?
I've heard of the Delta machine. So there's different kind of, I think there's four main types of kind of 3D printing machines or FFF machines. You've got Cartesian, which is the ones we're looking at now. So that's the usual kind of Cartesian axis machine. You've got your Delta, and you've got your robotic arm or your Scara, I think it's called, and Polar might be to do with the robotic arm. But yeah, you've got a few. I haven't come across that exact printer, but what project that my team have actually worked on is also clay printing and clay milling as well. We did this with Kolb, so yeah, but that's really interesting. And we used some sort of robotic arm, so that's interesting. Yeah, didn't use a Delta printer, but that's very interesting.
Okay, yeah, but so the Delta stuff is not supported in what we've currently got.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, it's good to know. I like to be quite honest in what we can and can't do. But please, everyone, bear in mind all this feedback you do post. Me and Tom speak to the product managers quite a lot, so these things will come up in. Oh yeah, we've had a couple of people ask for that. So please let us know what you do want to see. One thing that will probably just give you a heads up, Tom, what someone's asked.
Yeah, sure.
I think I'm going to say this right. Is he's got a local printer and he's asking how he can add that. Is that something that we can have a quick look at before this is out?
Yeah, sure. I guess he means he's got his own machine and he wants to add that to Fusion. That's brilliant. Yeah, we're gonna touch on that at the end of this presentation.
Perfect.
So
and my last interruption, I do promise, is someone's asked, is it possible to do tree supports? That means nothing to me, but I hope it means something to you.
Yeah. So good question. So in the FFF workspace, no. So the kind of the control you have over the supports at the moment is quite limited. You've got kind of like the standard FFF support, and you can change certain parameters with that support, but it's kind of got a set shape and it's you've not got much control as per other slices over the support structure. There is tree support within Fusion, but with the metal powder bed, not with the FFF side. So we've just got kind of standard generated automatic support.
Brilliant, Tom. Superb answer there. Really appreciate you going off topic for that.
Yeah, nice. Brilliant. Cool. So thanks for the question, guys. I'll crack on. So as you can see, we generated our G code. I won't go through this because I don't think it's particularly interesting. But what we can do now is we can save that to a USB and put that into our printer and print. Now, assuming we print this part and we actually think you weren't printing for real, you just wanted to kind of print a prototype, and you actually realized that the prototype printed awfully because of these holes. And actually, for your prototype, you want to remove these holes and reprint the part. Well, this is what's great about Fusion. So what we can do, we can just go back in Design Workspace, see a part. We can just select these holes, click delete. Okay, hole's been deleted from the part. You go back into the manufacturer workspace, and all we have to do is just regenerate the toolpath. So we've then made pretty substantial design change to this part, and we don't have to do any more setup. We don't have to reselect the print settings or change them in any way. We don't have to reselect the machine or the post. It's or even the orientation. It's all kind of been saved, and as you can see, the toolpath is generated, and we can go and we can simulate it. So it's kind of extremely great jumping from design to manufacturer workspace to make these little changes. And if we look,
that's a really good point to make, Tom, because someone earlier asked why would they use this over another slicer, and I sort of explained that yes, we might not have all of the settings that this example was Cura has, but the fact you haven't got to keep exporting and importing files, and then you of course lose all that history, don't you? As soon as you start a new project in another slicer, you lose all your settings. So this is why the Fusion workflow is actually really nice to use.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Cura is a very powerful tool, but it doesn't quite allow you to do the things that Fusion does, of course, because Fusion
is a modeling package.
Yeah, it's a whole package, exactly. So fantastic. Yeah, so here we go. We can now simulate the new toolpath. Our holes, of course, been removed. We no longer need support for any of these areas because it's just kind of a straight up extrusion part. And now our part is a lot more likely to print. So that's fantastic. We can click close, and of course we can right click, post process, and repost. I'll do this for you actually, and repost and replace the G code.
So I'm guessing you would rather do a design mod to get rid of supports.
Yeah, it's interesting because you could have printed this part without supports, for example, and I'm sure it would have printed the holes, but it would have had a little bit of difficulty because it is an overhang, and maybe that just would have caused other issues with the print. And this is just an example. Maybe there's other parts of people print and actually they want to make a quick design change and get rid of a certain feature, and it's so quick to do, which is just great thing with Fusion.
That's good, because I mean I've done a little bit of 3D printing, and I think what the people who taught me said, use supports as a last case scenario. If you can orientate or you can design it so it doesn't need supports, that should be your first go to. But exactly. Supports is like the last case scenario.
Yeah, exactly. And that's in a way, what's actually really powerful about this. If you've got a part, maybe you're not sure what the best orientation is, this orientation module, if you go to the ranking and you set support volume to very high, that means that it will really look at orientations that reduce the need for support, which of course I agree is what we want. I think often support can sometimes do more harm than good when printing a part, especially with a secondary extruder, because sometimes it just causes some sort of issues, and maybe you're relying on it to work perfectly. So I would always say, and that's what I've been told as well, to always try and reduce support on your part, even if you have to split the part. Sometimes it's not functional, and that's probably definitely the case with this because you want a uniform, strong part. But sometimes it's just better to find optimal orientation or even split them apart and adhere it together afterwards.
Yeah.
So
cheers, Tom. So thanks for clarifying that. It's definitely a learning day for me as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, fantastic. So yeah, we've now printed our prototype of these jaws, and they've come out really well. And we're like, brilliant. Okay, and then we can go and add the holes in again and print it for real to use for holding our bike frames. So yeah, I thought that was a good example. One thing I'll touch on actually, I might have missed briefly, just if you wanted to make just specific changes to, for example, to the infill or supports, as we did actually, all we really changed in the print settings was just the supports. We can go into this supports icon in the ribbon, and you can see it directly links you to the support settings. So you don't have to go to the full print settings and go to supports tab if you just want to change something as simple as enable supports or not. And of course, then if you wanted to as well go into the print settings, you can click on the little icon here and it'll take you into them. And that is the same for infill. If you just want to make a quick change to infill, just click on the little icon and it's the same again. The reason we put these two in is because they're quite common changes people like to make. You know, usually select a set of print settings, you know, with correct material, correct layer height, etc. And they actually then sometimes they like to reduce the support or change the choose whether they use support or not, or select kind of what infill they're using. Then of course you can just do those quick changes without jumping into the full print settings editor. So yeah, there we go. Fantastic. So actually jumping back to the question earlier, which is about creating, I believe it was creating a custom machine. And
I think that was it. Yeah.
We're gonna jump onto that now. So if we just kind of minimize that setup, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new setup, and I'll show you guys kind of the workflow for creating a custom machine and also a custom post using the FFF post creation utility tool that you Richard, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So just to sorry to interrupt you, Tom, sure. But just to jump in here. So this is, so let's say I've got a weird and wonderful printer at home, and it's not one of the supported printers. Is this the workflow I would then do to try and make Fusion FFF work with my printer?
Yeah, exactly. So of course we acknowledge that you know, we've not got all the printers in.
Oh yeah, we never will. Yeah, you know, you'll never get everything in there, but
no, of course not.
Yeah. So this is really good because we've got a lot of questions about does it support this machine, that machine. So yeah, you know, if you don't see it supported, make sure you pay a lot of attention to this. This is how you can create your own custom machine, and then maybe do those little post tweaks to get it running correctly. So again, sorry to interrupt you and break up your work, Tom, but
no worries.
I'm the voice of the people here today.
No, it's good to hear them speak. So yeah, no, this is exactly, I'll love to show you guys this. And of course, as I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's a YouTube video coming out today or tomorrow, one that I've made that kind of, you know, it's a polished video. So it kind of goes over this creation of a machine and a post, so that you guys can add your own machines at home. I will say that we're hoping to keep adding more machines to Fusion, and that's definitely kind of what we want to keep doing in. So look out, you never know, your machine might be added soon. But I'll show you now how to add your own machine. So what we'll do actually is we'll start by creating a new setup again. So go into the setup icon in the ribbon, and we're going to go as before. So we're creating a new setup. We're going to set the setup type to additive. So we're telling it we want to print this part additively. So we're going to now select the machine. So we're going to click select. And what we're going to do actually, so you've probably noticed you've got a couple of icons here. So what we can do is we can click, so we can scroll down, for example, and we see this Autodesk generic FFF machine. We go to our local library. We have the option to create a new machine by this. So what is the name of this? I think it's just create a new machine. And we can click and create a new additive machine. What this will do is it will bring up, well, I can show you. So it'll bring up actually the kind of Autodesk generic FFF machine settings. So you can either create your new machine by clicking additive here, or within the Fusion 360 library, as we kind of did before, we can get this Autodesk generic FFF machine, drag it to our local, and then just simply edit this machine. So we can click it and click edit selected machine, and basically clicking the plus icon or clicking edit on this machine brings up the exact same window, which is this basically this kind of machine configuration window for the generic FFF machine. And here, what we can do, we can just enter our own machine name. So I'm going to call this Tom's machine. Vendor, I'll just put none, for example. Platform clearance, so yeah, we'll leave these as it is at the moment. Note, for those who want to add, so you can probably see from before, the platform bed is often just shown as a big kind of grey rectangle surface. What this actually enables you to do is upload a file, so such as a 3MF file, which represents your bed. So if you want a visual representation of what your bed looks like, you can upload it here. And so when you see your part in your C machine in the workspace, you can actually see the shape or the decal or whatever on the bed. So it just makes it a little bit more personal. But we're just going to leave that as it is today. So we can go to the other tabs, so we can work down. So dimensions. So you've got your bed offsets and your bed size. You know what? I'm just going to leave these here. In the video, I change a few of these, but for today, I'll just leave everything as mostly default. Yeah. Note that some of the limits, for example, like max bed temp is set quite high. Obviously, this is an unrealistic bed temperature, but the reason why it's set high is so that it doesn't limit your print settings, because your print settings, if this was set something like, I don't know, 60, and your print set, you need to print a certain part with a bed temperature of 80 or even 100. I know ABS, I think you often need a bed temperature of 80 or so. Then we've set this high just so your parts are not limited by this value. So yeah, we're going to go through the configuration. Again, we'll just kind of leave all of this standard, just changing the name just for simplicity. And we go to the post processing tab. So obviously we've created our own machine. So it has different dimensions, of course, and different setups. And of course, we'll need a post for that machine. At the moment, you can select, of course, all the posts that kind of had available in Fusion 360 at the moment. But what we need is a custom post. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click OK on that machine. You can see that the vendor's none, and Tom's machine's been created there. And it says post not selected. That's fine. All I'm going to do is I'm going to click select and just click OK. And so you've got setup 2. So we've got a machine that we just created. Of course, if you change those values, the print bed would have updated. There'll be different sizes. Yeah, we need to now create a post for that machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to we're still in the manufacturer workspace. We're going to go to utilities. We're going to go to the manage tab in the ribbon, and we're going to go to FFF Post Creation Utility. I'm going to click on that. And so you can download this from the Autodesk App Store. We could put a link in the description of this video, or in the video that is getting released today or tomorrow or so. They'll have a link to this app in the App Store, so you can download it from there. But once you've opened it, you get this kind of dialog on the right, and you can see that you've got a couple of options. So you can load a post, and or you can create your own post. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new machine. We're going to create a new post. So I'm just going to put this post name as Tom's post. Post description, I'll just leave it as it is. File extension, of course, so you can put this to NT or whatever, but of course we'll keep this as G code. And you can go to your basic settings. And you can see you've got you can set what kind of start and end G codes are used with your post, and also what G-code you have for each starting layer. So I'm going to scroll through that and see that here. And you can edit these, and you can see that it calls on the program name, and etc.
That's really good, Tom, because someone earlier said, how do I stop it going to Z0 at the very start? So I'm guessing they just edit that start program there and either change the Z0 value or just take it out altogether.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, like and this is an easy way to do it. Obviously, for those who are comfortable with creating or editing their own posts, they can of course do that, in JavaScript or something like that. But for those who may be not so comfortable with doing that, or the concept of post is quite new to them, and this is the ideal way to kind of start with editing and creating posts.
Definitely.
So yeah, anyway, so we got kind of some basic settings there. We can also go to our advanced options, and you can see, just move this up, it's quite a long dialogue. But you can see you've got some other kind of options for, and kind of codes for calling on kind of set and extruded temperature, etc. there, and you can kind of, change this and customize it for your machine. So yeah, what we'll do is just hide those, and I'll show you. So what this sample output tab does. So yeah, we named this Tom's post. We can then add a little comment, say at the end here. So I'm just going to do, say, webinar test. So yeah, we're going to add a little comment there. We're going to now go to sample output. So what this does, this is quite neat. So it shows you an example of the G code that's going to be generated with this post. So you can see, just so you can kind of visually check. And there you go. And you can see, boom, like a little simple change that we've made. It's just been included at the bottom there. So, if we made our changes for our machine, what we can do is we can just click OK. And you're going to get a little notification saying that the post is created and stored in our local post folder. And please link it to appropriate machine. We're going to click OK. And now we're going to go back into our setup 2. Because remember, we created a machine, but we had not added a post to it yet. So we'll go back into our setup, edit, and now if we click select on the machine, so we go to our local, there we go, Tom's machine, post not selected. We can click select post, and of course, remember it said that it's saved in our local post library. So we're going to go to my post, local, and there you go, Tom's post. So let's click on that, click select, and it's assigned that post to our new machine. So we can just click. So yeah, we're gonna click select to select that. Print settings have been automatically selected. That's fine. If we wanted to, we can select them from here, but I'm happy with the ones that have been selected, and we can just click OK on that. And of course, then we can make changes to our print settings if we wanted to, and of course, yeah, you could still right now the same workflow that I've just shown you. Now, note, say that for some reason you printed your part, and there's been an issue, or there's been an issue with the G code generating, for example. What you can do is you can go back and edit the post very easily. So I'll show you guys that. So we've run, it's generated toolpath fine. I don't know, say for some reason when simulating, or when you try and generate G code, or when you print your part, there's an issue. We can go back and edit the post, and I'll show you that now. So we're going to go back into, staying within the manufacturer workspace. We're going to go back to utilities, back to the manage tab in the ribbon, back to the FFF post creation utility. And then what we're going to do differently this time is we're going to click on load post and click Tom's post. So the only posts you can load here are custom ones that are in your local folder. So yeah, if you'd had other, so if you'd moved other posts, for example, to your local folder, you'd be able to access them here. And then of course, if you wanted to, you can then make your changes, and clicking OK would again save it and tell you that it's saved in your local post. Your local post folder. Fantastic. We've made no changes, and our toolpath generated. We simulated it, so now we can post process. There we go. You can see our post has been selected. You can add your name there, or we can add our name here. So I'm going to call this webinar test. What did I call it last time? Test 2. I'm not very inventive with names, so I apologize.
You need to get a lot better at that, Tom.
Yeah, that's one thing I need to improve. So I'm going to save that. That's going to pop up on my desktop. So I'm going to open this for you guys and show you. I'm going to click no on that. So here we go. Webinar test 2. You can see, yeah, it's exactly what we expect, and you know, it's not a particularly interesting change, but you can see, you know, just quite an obvious visual change for you guys. You know, you've got that little comment that we added on that post at the bottom there, webinar test. So that's a kind of bit of an introduction of how to you know, create your own machine and your own post in Fusion. And as I've said, sorry, about 3 times now, look out for a video popping up on YouTube for the next couple of days, or maybe even later today, on kind of a polished video on this. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to show you guys today. Yeah, and if you've got any questions, yeah, fire them away. I'm here.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones. Rather than me typing the reply to Simon. So someone's asked about having posts so anyone in the company can use them. So what you need to do is click on your name in the top right, go to Preferences, and then it's called Enable Cloud Libraries. So what that's going to do then is actually bring up an Assets folder in your data panel. So it's I don't think it's a preview, it's just one of the normal. Is it in Manufacture, I think? Is when we start stumbling. If you're up like 2 or 3 down.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Manufacture, Enable Cloud Libraries. So you enable that. If you hit OK on there for me, Tom, and then open up your data panel on the left. That's where all of Tom's weird thingy prints comes up. If you go to your home in your data panel, you'll now see the library assets there. So if you click on that for me, you'll see that you've got all these assets come up, and you've got CAM posts. So that's where you can put your posts in there, and then anyone in the team that you're in, so the Fusion team, can access that. So again, not just for 3D printing and FFF, brilliant for most subtractive ones, because you can also share the tool libraries. And you can see on there as well, you've got CAM machines, so you can put your machine libraries on there as well. So yeah, brilliant question. Thanks for that, Simon. Otherwise, I think we've pretty much answered most. There's a lot of questions about problems that people are having with the posts and little tweaks. Please put stuff on the forum. Again, I'm hoping that we can help the majority of people out here solve any problems. Of course, there are some things that we might just physically not be able to do in the post, but we'll do our best to try and do so. So yeah, I think pretty much we've answered all the questions. For anyone watching this not live, please put the comments in. Me and Tom will probably try and look at this for the next 1 to 2 weeks, so we'll reply then. But again, to be honest, everyone's first port of call should always be the forum. There's lots of employees and, you know, brilliant users that spend a lot of time on there helping people out. So it's a brilliant resource. It's probably a bit underutilized by a lot of people as well. But yeah, the main thing is I just want to say thanks very much for Tom for joining us and spending a lot of time doing this. It's certainly been a learning curve for me. Yeah, I want to get myself a 3D printer more than ever. But yeah, lots of people saying thanks, Tom. They've learnt a lot on this today, so really appreciate it. And we'll have to get you back again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Get you back again soon, and you know, show us what's new in a couple of months' time. But yeah. Brilliant, everyone. Really appreciate you spending your time watching this today. Remember to subscribe if you want notifications about when we're doing the next set of live streams and things. But yeah, cool. See you all soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.